I highly recommend you join my ADA website war room. On this opening slide, I have two legendary doors opening to a brightly lit room. I add this cover to indicate once you join the war room, you will have access to information and strategy that you will find nowhere else. And so inside the war room is an ADA website strategy session. And on this next slide, I have a king on a chessboard, and the king represents your time, your money, and your mental energy. We want to protect the king against website accessibility lawsuits, and that's what this strategy session is all about. So I invite you to join me inside the war room for a 2.5 hour strategy session consisting of my very best advice and information. And this includes advice and information that I have never shared before publicly. So you cannot find this on the ADA Book YouTube channel. You cannot find this on accessible.org. And of course, you can't find this anywhere else. This is only available inside the war room. And of course, you can't ask AI and get these answers. You cannot find this anywhere else. So my approach here was to take everyone who signs up and take them behind closed doors into what would be a consulting session with one of my clients that I charge $395 an hour for. Let me take you behind closed doors and give you all of my best information and advice. So, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the strategy behind significantly reducing your risk of an ADA website lawsuit. And we're going to take a 360 view here. So, we're not going to just look at one aspect of accessibility or lawsuits. We're going to look at the marketplace. We're going to look at plaintiffs' lawyers. We're going to look at the technical side. We're going to look at the legal side. We're taking all vantage points here. I can tell you attorneys don't know this, and neither do accessibility companies. Now, I do have the ADA compliance course, which is a separate course, and it does intersect at points with the war room, but the course is different. The course is more of a how to. So the course tells you exactly what accessibility issues are most likely to lead to a lawsuit and how to find and fix them. And there is a strategy component to the ADA compliance course, but I can tell you that the war room is going to complement the ADA compliance course rather than replace it. So again, there are points in which these intersect, but these are two standalones, but you will get a preview to the ADA compliance course, an insider preview by joining the war room. So the war room contains information that you absolutely must know as a website owner. And as I was uh, creating the presentation and creating all of the slides, I couldn't help but think to myself, if only so many of my clients were able to see this first, they could have prevented so much harm and damage and just time taken away that they'll never get back, money lost. This is all preventable. And so that's why I have the war room, is we want to make sure that we can prevent this as much as possible and stop these horror stories that happen. So the idea here, obviously, prevent lawsuits and thereby prevent mental anguish, save time, save money, save mental energy. And then I also I want website owners to gain confidence knowing that they have all of the information in place and take control of their situation. So the war room is obviously targeted to website owners, but there are other players involved that stand to benefit. And these players include website operators, website designers, or web designers, web developers, digital agencies, as well as defense attorneys and accessibility professionals. So what my experience is, and what is so often the case, is when I talk to people, they all have different bits of information, but they haven't put everything together. So they're missing at least one aspect or one or a few aspects of this landscape. And so that leads to increased risk. So we want to bring that risk to the floor as much as possible. And you will get that with the war room. So if the idea here, my philosophy, my thinking, if you've never been sued before, let's make sure it never happens. If you have been sued, let's make sure it's a one and done. And if you're one of these other entities, so let's just take the example of a web design agency. If you have clients, make sure that your clients don't get sued, and also make sure to limit your own liability. So if you'd like to join the war room, you can go to adacompliance.net and find it in the course catalog. Also, I will include a link to the War Room in the description for this YouTube channel. This is a one-time purchase. You will immediately get a 10x on your value on the value of your purchase based on my consulting rate. And if we look at the potential results, so if we look at the potential cost if you were to get sued, this is at least 100x on the value. So it's at least 100x ROI versus getting sued. So we want to make sure to prevent this wherever possible. So that is why I've created the War Room. This is extremely valuable information. If you would like to sign up, go to adacompliance.net or just look at the description for this YouTube channel, and there you can find the link to take you to the War Room. So I look forward to talking to you in the War Room. And by the way, you can ask me questions about the information inside the War Room once you sign up, but only if you sign up. So go to adacompliance.net right now and sign up for the War Room.